Hi guys, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make this cute little flower barrette. For this tutorial you're going to need a plain old barrette, a 4mm hook or size 6 hook for the US, a tapestry needle, a button that you can fit your tapestry needle through, a pair of scissors, and some yarn that you like. This is the cotton pack yarn that I've been using lately, and this is also cotton pack yarn, but you can do this with worsted weight yarn too. I just happen to have variegated yarn in this stuff right now. So to get started, grab your 4mm hook and the kind of color that you want to use, and let's get started. To begin, get your slip knot on your 4mm hook and chain 4. Then slip stitch in the beginning stitch to form a ring. And then in the center of the ring, we want to do 20 double crochets. But the first double crochet, we're going to do chain 2, and this will count as our first. So we want to do 19 more double crochets in the center of this ring. Just like that. So that's 3. And I'll see you back here when you have a total of 20. When you get to the end of the row, slip stitch in this beginning chain 2 space, or chain 2, and then now you want to chain 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now you want to slip stitch into that same space that you started and chain 10 again. And then you want to slip stitch again into the same space. That's your first. Now chain 10 again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then now in the next space to the left, slip stitch. And chain 10 again. And in the same space, slip stitch. Then chain 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the next space now, we want to slip stitch. Each stitch, as you can see, should have 2 connections. One is the first one that you slip stitch like this. This will be the first connection into the stitch. And then when you chain 10 again, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you slip stitch into the same stitch, then that's your second connection that you have in this in this stitch. So the first one is when you slip stitch into it, and then you chain 10, slip stitch back into that stitch. That gives you 2 connections within the same stitch. So now when you chain 10, you know you need to go to the next one. So continue to do that all the way around till you get back to the beginning. And when you get to the end here, all you want to do after you slip stitch your last chain is chain 1 and cut your yarn. And using the back stitches here, you can always pull through. I prefer to use a smaller needle always. It's just so much easier to get behind the stitches when you're trying to hide your tail. Let's do it a few times. Pull. And that's your first part of the flower. Now to do the second part, get your 4mm hook, back up, get your slip knot again by making your pretzel here. Put it on your 4mm hook or size 6 hook and chain 4. Then you want to slip stitch in the beginning chain to form a ring, and then chain 1, and then in the center ring you want to single crochet 10 into that ring. So that's 1, 2. Then when you get done with your 10 single crochets, slip stitch in the beginning stitch and chain 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we want to slip stitch in the stitch to the left. And then chain 10 again. And then again, you want to slip stitch into the chain to the left. And continue to do that. Chain 10, slip stitch in the stitch to the left. The last chain, your 10th chain, slip stitch in the same stitch where you began. Then chain 1. You have an option where if you want to make it fuller, you can do what you did in this first part. But this one fits inside of it. So I think it was full enough. But if you want it to be really full, then it's just another option you can do. It's to do 2 stitches in one. Would be interesting to see. So anyway, when you get to the end, and you've done your slip stitch here, chain 1 and leave yourself a long tail so that you can sew your flowers together and your button on your flower. So get your pieces that you need and your needle, and you also need your button. Okay, first off you want to thread your needle and then open your barrette. This is the part where it closes, so this is the part up here that we'll be attaching it to. Put your small flower into your big and start working in the middle section here. I'm going to try to stick my finger, or you can stick a pencil or something like that through the center while you're working, just so that it'll stay even. So it's up to you, or a hook or something, and just work along the middle, going through. Back and forth until you get around the side where you began. And then you want to go ahead and come back up like that, and then get your button, put it through one of the loops, one of the holes of the button. Try to center it as best you can. Put it through the other side and put it through your flower. Just like that. If you want to go through it again, just to make that connection tighter, feel free. And there you go. Now to attach it to this. And this is the side we'll be attaching it to. What I usually do is I get my needle, just because it's easier to feed the yarn through this hole. But you can always use a hook too. Then I go wrap it around. Whoops, I'm going to wrap it up. Wrap it on the upside. Put my needle through again. And just keep wrapping it around a couple times. This is my 3rd time, so this time on my 3rd go around here, I'm going to actually go through the flower on one side of the barrette to the other side, through the flower, not through the barrette, just to tighten it to the actual barrette. And this is your time to center it where it needs to be. Pull tight. Flip your barrette over to where it's facing the right way. Center it. Pull tight. And now I'm going to go through that center part again. Just like that. And underneath the barrette and underneath into my flower. I'm going to get my needle through there. Make sure it's centered. And then I'm going to tighten it like that. Go through my barrette again. And I'm going to do the same thing. just like that. Keep tightening it as you go. Go through the barrette, and then now work on the end part. Go through the flower underneath the barrette on this side, and then through the barrette, and through the flower underneath the barrette again. And one more time. And you can do this as many times as you want to secure it, as tight as you want to it. Okay, and I continued to just go through the barrette and then going back under all the way through the whole thing, just to give it some extra security. Then when you're ready to start making your knots, just go ahead and don't do a full pull through, and go through that loop and then pull. It's going to help tie your knots essentially, to keep it from falling apart. I'm going under the barrette. I should say inside. When I say under, I mean this. I'm going through that. This one I'm going under the whole barrette. And then I pull, get my loop up here, and then going through this hole, I go through the loop. And after doing that about 3 times, I'm going to go through what I can of these stitches on the side where we tied it, wrapped it around the barrette. Just because it's tight there, it should hold my yarn and prevent it from coming loose. So I'm just going to pull it through there. See, it's running along the line of these stitches beside the barrette. Just because it's tight there. You just find a place where it's tight, run your thread through that area, just to help it from preventing it from unraveling. Then after that, close your barrette, and there you go. That's how you make the flower barrette. And if you like this tutorial, please like this video, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.